Hello, thank you for watching Electric City Video. This is Frank Etheridge, I'm the editor, and I'm here at Greater Beallwood Baptist Church, appearing off camera to be safe and socially distanced from Reverend Adrian J. Chester, pastor of Beallwood Baptist Church. How are you today?
I'm well, Frank, and yourself?
Doing well?
Yes, sir.
So, yes, I know you've been involved with issues as far as policing and police brutality. As a pastor of this church, why do you take on that responsibility?
Yes, sir. I take on that responsibility because I live by the philosophy of John Wesley, who was the founder of Methodism here in the United States, who said, "The world is my parish," right? And so our ministry as a church, and historically as African American churches, extends far beyond our local constituency of those who come through our doors and goes out into the community of meeting and addressing the needs of those who are oppressed or marginalized. And anytime a person is transgressed or offended by a person of power, the church has a biblical mandate to speak up, right? And as we've seen throughout our country and over the last year, especially in 2020, that there are many persons who have fallen to death and also major injury due to police not necessarily following standards or excessive force. And we have many examples of that here in Columbus, Georgia, dating as far back to Kenny Walker in the early 2000s, and also Mr. Areola, who most recently, a few years ago, passed due to an altercation with the police.
And I know after Kenneth Walker was killed, the city formed the Public Safety Advisory Commission. What do you know as far as the workings of that commission?
Yes, sir. Well, I will say if you go back and pull the city records, as far as the early 70s, the Columbus City Council formulated a Public Safety Advisory Commission that was very robust and had subpoena powers, right? But over the years, with different administrations on city council and also in the mayor's office, that faded away, right? Where there is no accountability, things just sometimes disappear. And so the most recent form in which we have our Public Safety Advisory Commission is what we see today, which was a compromise shortly after the murder of Kenny Walker, right? And so I want to go on record of saying that the way we see the Public Safety Advisory Commission today in Columbus is not how it started back in the early 70s when a Public Safety Advisory Commission was instituted. When it first came on the scene, those persons had subpoena power, and they had the the weight of being able to call officers in for greater accountability.
It seems like this issue pops up every several years as far as issues of police interaction with the community and police crossing lines as far as their duties. And most recently, there was Officer Watkins was involved in an arrest that was captured on video and shared by Pop Barnes on social media. How has that that controversy changed what y'all are doing?
Yes, sir. I mean, it as you said, it comes up every several years. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, right? They go on record of saying that these citizen review boards were discussed and implemented as early as the 1920s, and it's only it wasn't until 1948 that the first one actually came to life, of citizens being involved, of holding police officers accountable. And I mean, it changes, and these events change the culture, which I would say it really adds fuel to the argument that citizens should be empowered with the legal weight to be able to call aggressors in under oath, right? Because outside of a person coming in and answering questions not up under oath, they can tell you a lie and get away with it, right? And it's not subpoena power is not citizens trying to do the work of the judicial system or even trying to make the work harder for police officers. All it does is raises the level of accountability, and wherever there's accountability, there will always be trust. And where there is the lack of accountability, there will always be the lack of trust. So subpoena power is not about citizens or our local public safety advisory commission is not about holding a weapon to the public safety officer's metaphorical head, but it's really just holding everybody's feet to the fire so that before you do something out of the way, like Officer Watkins, right? Before you think twice about it, of saying, hey, there's an extra layer of accountability and scrutiny that I'm going to have to come up under based on my actions in this present moment.
Of course, that is the argument against creating such a group, subpoena powers, because it is citizens acting outside the judicial system.
Mm-hmm. And that's a false argument, right? Because I mean, subpoena power is only for investigation purposes only. And one of the roadblocks that we've been running into, even in this small group panel, right? This commission on the commission, as you said, is that there's some things within our city charter that kind of limits the effectiveness of the Public Safety Advisory Commission as it is in its present form. But with these citizens, and we've discussed those who are for the Citizens Review Board having subpoena power. We have argued the point that there are other boards who already have subpoena power here in Columbus, Georgia, right? The one in particular, which is the City Personnel Board, they have subpoena power. And so if the Personnel Review Board has subpoena power, why cannot the public safety in the Personnel Review Board is made up of citizens, although it's a very nuanced group of people who have background in human resources, things of that nature. The same thing can happen with our Public Safety Advisory Commission. So I want to go on record of saying that there's already a city commission made up of private citizens that already has subpoena power.
Like so much in this country, this issue does come down to race a lot of times. And Columbus recently installed his first black police officer, Freddie Blackmon.
Police chief,
Police chief,
yes,
sorry.
Sir.
Police chief, Freddie Blackmon. Do you see that changing things?
I do see it changing things because it brings a different perspective, right, of policing, right? Our Ministerial Alliance group had our first meeting of 2021 last Friday, and our first guest was Chief Blackmon. For us to be able to hear, hey, what are your plans, right? These are things of what we're hearing, and how can we work together to make it different, right? I mean, in the average black person, right? And I want everybody to hear this, right? The sensible black person is willing to work with anybody who's willing to work with them. But when you don't hear us, right? That's when we go to the streets and march and protest. It's simple. I'm not saying going to the degree of rioting, right? But when we come to the table and and we feel as if we're not heard, we are going to engage larger segments. But I do see Chief Blackmon, based off of his character, his Christian character, and even the persons who are working on his staff and his command staff. He brought his entire command staff on a Zoom call with a group of pastors the other day just to lay out the plan of how he envisions on making it different. And so I do think, there's... And I'll say this, right? And I know I'm saying a lot, but I'll say this. You will never be able to understand the plight of the oppressed from a place of privilege, right? Freddie Blackmon, Chief Freddie Blackmon, is a black man who was raised in East Columbus, right? Graduated from Kendrick High School and decided to stay in Columbus, Georgia as a black man with all the pockets in the racial history and tension of Columbus in order to be able to make a difference.
So, in an ideal scenario, what would you like to see happen as far as the issue of subpoena powers in the Public Safety Advisory Commission?
What I would like to see happen is a group of citizens who have been vetted, going through whatever vetting process, are fully equipped and resourced to be the advocates for the people, right? And that's through subpoena power, that's through budgeting, right? So that if they need to bring in subject matter experts, they can do it, right? And it's independent of the police department. Right now, the Public Safety Advisory Commission meets at the police department.
And they use the police chief's secretary for the correspondence.
Yeah, right.
And one of the arguments I've heard from some of them is that they don't have a budget and they would need like an investigator or
Yes,
some
sir.
staff.
Yeah, and so and that can be done, if we have the leadership in our city, and also the forward-thinking people that make the decisions, because we are the mayor, the way Columbus is structured, the mayor does not have power, right? Mm-hmm. Council has the power, right, to make decisions, and only in the case of a split vote or a tie does the mayor have a vote on any of the issues that come before council. So an ideal situation, what we desire, at least what Adrian Chester desires, is that a citizens advisory commission that has full subpoena power, that is given the resources financially and personnel wise to be able to run independently of the people of the police department, so that they will be seen and viewed as a voice for the people when it comes to public safety issues here in Columbus, Georgia.
Reverend Adrian Chester, appreciate your time today and appreciate all that you're doing as far as working and investigating this important issue.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Frank, for having me.